For decades, IGN stood as one of the most trusted names in gaming journalism, a platform that shaped the opinions of millions and set the standard for game reviews.
The new Ninja Turtles movie is coming out. Reviews are in.
No, nothing.
It totally has. They have nothing. They're waiting. It's got a 36 on Rotten Tomatoes as of the printing of this card, which I was told as we sat down had already dropped from this morning's 36 to a 33 in the afternoon. So things aren't looking up for Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles. Brian, you wanted to...
I did, so
But in recent years, that legacy has begun to crumble. What was once an outlet known for its unbiased and straightforward coverage of video games has become the subject of increasing controversy. Many longtime readers and gamers have accused IGN of letting politics, particularly woke ideology, creep into their reviews and coverage. The once reliable site now stands accused of biased reporting and reviewing, prioritizing political correctness over objective analysis of the games themselves. One of the clearest examples of this came in their coverage of The Last of Us Part 2.
Rare beloved games of the past decade that not only didn't demand a sequel, but actively seemed to resist the idea of one. Its story is poignant enough because of how self-contained it is. But with The Last of Us Part 2, developer Naughty Dog rises to the challenge with not only a complex and brutally emotional story that gives it a reason to exist, but also deep and satisfying evolutions to the original's third-person action stealth gameplay.
When the game released in 2020, it was highly divisive amongst the gaming community. IGN's glowing review of the game, giving it a near-perfect 10 out of 10 score, was seen by many as ignoring key criticisms, particularly about its controversial plot twists and portrayal of a certain character. Critics accused IGN of focusing too heavily on praising the game's progressive themes, such as LGBTQ+ representation, while downplaying or ignoring the legitimate complaints about the game's pacing, narrative, and gameplay. Gamers called out IGN for praising the political messaging in the game rather than focusing on its overall quality. This was just the start of what many saw as a troubling shift. In 2023, controversy once again ignited with the release of Hogwarts Legacy. Set in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, IGN's review spent an unusual amount of time discussing the political controversies surrounding J.K. Rowling, rather than focusing on the game itself. Players expected an evaluation of the gameplay, story, and world building, but instead got an extended commentary on social issues surrounding the game. This raised accusations that IGN was prioritizing political narratives over the concerns of gamers. And just when the dust seemed to settle, the site found itself mired in yet another controversy, this time involving Black Myth Wukong and Stellar Blade. Both games were some of the most anticipated titles in recent years, praised for their visuals and promising gameplay mechanics. However, as players eagerly awaited detailed previews or reviews, many were left wondering why IGN's coverage on both titles seems suspiciously quiet. In what some have called a deliberate cover-up, it was revealed that IGN received complaints about the lack of in-depth coverage for these titles. Critics alleged that the reason for this was the developers' perceived distancing from woke political messaging, something that reportedly didn't align with IGN's editorial slant of these days. Rumors of internal disagreements and pressure not to highlight games that don't fit into certain ideological frameworks only fueled the fire. For many in the gaming community, this felt like the tipping point. Kotaku has also been a major player, with writers like Alyssa Mercante at the forefront of its editorial voice. But recently, Mercante has found herself at the center of a controversy that has sent shockwaves through the gaming community. This time, not for her reviews or opinions, but for her legal actions. The controversy began when Alyssa Mercante filed a lawsuit against the YouTuber SmashJT, a content creator known for his gaming commentary and critiques of the media. SmashJT had been vocal about his criticisms of Kotaku and Mercante in the past, accusing her of injecting too much personal political ideology into her coverage of video games and using her platform to push a biased narrative.
You really want? I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're gonna be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker.
Smash JT's videos, while critical, gain significant traction, particularly among gamers who share a growing discontent with what they perceive as a political bias in gaming journalism. However, McCarthy's response was not simply to refute these claims, but to take legal action, alleging that Smash JT's commentary had crossed the line into defamation. The lawsuit has sparked a major backlash against McCarthy, with many in the gaming community seeing this as an attempt to silence criticism through legal means. Supporters of Smash JT, however, argue that the lawsuit sets a dangerous precedent for free speech and the ability to critique public figures and media outlets. They believe that McCarthy's legal actions are an effort to stifle dissent and to suppress voices that challenge the dominant narratives in the gaming media. This backlash is particularly fierce among independent creators and YouTubers, many of whom view McCarthy's lawsuit as an emblematic of broader issues at hand, the perceived unwillingness of mainstream gaming media to engage with criticism. Rather than addressing the concerns raised by content creators like Smash JT, McCarthy's legal action is seen by some as a way to shut down those who don't align with her political views. McCarthy, however, has her own defenders who argue that Smash JT's videos crossed into personal attacks and that the lawsuit is a necessary step to protect her reputation. Her supporters claim that criticism is one thing, but harassment and defamation are another. They believe that the legal system should be used to hold people accountable when certain lines are crossed. Nevertheless, the controversy has reignited discussions about the role of gaming journalists and the growing divide between the mainstream media and independent creators. For many, the lawsuit is about more than just McCarthy versus Smash JT. It represents a larger struggle over free speech, the right to critique powerful media figures, and the influence of corporate-backed journalism in an increasingly decentralized media landscape. As the lawsuit progresses, it remains to be seen what the outcome will be. But one thing is clear. On one side, there are those who believe in the freedom to criticize public figures without fear of legal repercussions. On the other, those who argue that accountability should extend to the boundaries of speech and critique. For now, Alyssa McCarthy's lawsuit against Smash JT continues to fuel debates about gaming journalism, freedom of speech, and the growing tensions between mainstream outlets, independent voices, and the general public at hand. It's a controversy that has forced many to reconsider where the lines should be drawn and whether criticism, no matter how pointed, should be met with legal action. The gamers deserve a fair review, based solely on their merits as a piece of art and a form of entertainment, not sidelined because of perceived ideological misalignment. But IGN once again appeared to place its politics before its purpose. It's not just the readers who are speaking out. Several former IGN employees have taken to social media to voice their frustration with the site's direction. They've spoken of internal conflicts, pressure to follow certain editorial lines, and a growing sense that the outlet's priorities have shifted away from delivering fair and honest content.
Borderlands is not the easiest game to describe to someone. On the surface, it looks like your standard first-person shooter with an eccentric art style. In reality, it actually combines the first-person gameplay with the loot drop mechanics of action role-playing games like Diablo. Thankfully, this game is more than Diablo with guns. Its imaginative design ends up making it one of the most memorable games of the year.
15 minutes later, I'm still walking down the street when I saw the shadow of a man.
Armpit of the Guardians of the Galaxy's Peter Quill, and you might have something close to the feeling of Concord. As competitive hero shooters go, this sci-fi contender from Sony plays it quite safe. complete with immediately charming characters rendered in gobsmackingly beautiful cutscenes, and ability-based PvP combat that never addresses why those characters are fighting one another when they're clearly allies in said cutscenes. But just because it doesn't offer much in the way of innovation doesn't mean Concord isn't fun to play. I've sunk over 40 very enjoyable hours into the sweaty shooter, and it overwhelmingly nails its class-based gunplay. That rock-solid foundation certainly carries it quite a long way, but with only a few by-the-numbers game modes and no killer features to shake up the genre, it still has a lot of growing to do during its live service evolution.
As gamers increasingly seek unbiased reviews and honest reporting, they are tuning to the alternative sources like YouTube reviewers and independent platforms. Critics like SkillUp and ACG, who offer a straightforward and political neutral review, sometimes. However, critics also like SkillUp have been in the crossfires and had nicknames opposed against them, such as ShillUp, for also remaining quiet on certain gaming aspects that we don't agree with. Nonetheless, critics like this have continued to gain immense popularity. IGN's reputation is now at a crossroads. What was once a trusted authority in gaming is now seen by many as a platform more interesting in pushing an agenda than providing the unbiased reviews that gamers expect.
Many aesthetic choices in Cyberpunk 2077 that are grating with no real point.
Oh, I haven't finished it, but I've almost finished it.
And my dreams of hooking up devil-may-care mercenary Saber with pious priestess Celica were dashed because there's no marriage system.
And then, unfortunately, there are the werehog levels, and yes, I'm looking directly at you, Sonic with rabies.
The brothers' journey to Bowser's castle is stymied by dull characters, mundane conversations, and frustrating roadblocks. It's a simple slog toward Bowser's castle, interrupted with a near-endless series of uninteresting characters and increasingly annoying gates.
Can the site recover from this, or has it permanently lost the trust of its audience? As gaming continues to evolve, so too will the role of journalism. Whether IGN can evolve with it remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, the gaming community is no longer willing to accept bias in its reviews, no matter the ideology, as recent sales charts really do prove that by going woke, you will indeed go broke.